All right, Keith. Finally here, 24 days in. How do you feel about Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain?
It's great. The story is a little, you know how I feel about it, a little lacking. I know that you don't want to accept it, but it is. The gameplay's great, but I just wish the story was kind of better, more complete, something.
Yeah, the story to me, it's okay. If you compare to other Metal Gear games, this would fall in line, probably the most sparse story out of all of them. But I feel as though, in terms of the story, the cutscenes are rewarding because they're just extremely well produced and they feel like treats more than like, you know, how Metal Gear Solid 4, they were just, just overdrawn.
Don't play it, watch it.
Yeah, it was, if you look on YouTube of all the cutscenes, it's like 8 hours, something ridiculous number like that. But in terms of comparing to all the other Metal Gear games in the series, how everything else was linear, how do you think it fares being an open world?
The open world thing is kind of interesting to me. I don't think it makes the story any better or worse. I think
You're gonna keep poking at that story, bro.
Well, I mean, as far as like the story, like the open world doesn't really like give it anything, and it doesn't really take anything away from it. As far as the gameplay, I think it makes it a lot better.
Yeah, the open world is built upon infiltration, built upon you, the player, being able to scout everybody in a particular base and being able to have room to escape also.
Right, and basically it's open world. You can come from 4 or 5 different angles. And you can basically just get in like your way. Basically.
Yeah. Now people that are expecting Grand Theft Auto, strip clubs, playing golf, and all that other stuff, they're going to be disappointed. But I think if fans want to, well, not fans, but if players want to get into any Metal Gear, just to start, I think this would be the one to start, just because it's just so player friendly when it comes to gameplay. Do you disagree?
As far as gameplay, yeah, I think you're right. I think you're definitely right.
Yeah, I couldn't recommend any Metal Gear to anybody who wants to get into the story. I mean, it's all confusing.
I just think that like new players might come into this one and be like, oh, this is cool. This is more of like a third-person shooter than it is a stealth game. I'm sorry. But as far as the story goes, they might look at this and be like, wait, this is this crazy, realistic, like stealth game. Now there's just dude floating on fire, and like what is this? What is that? So I think that people that aren't
skip every cutscene.
People that aren't initiated to the story might kind of say like, what is going on with this? It plays great, it looks great, but what's going on with this story? But yeah, I would definitely agree with you. This is the one to start with, I would say.
So how do you feel about Kiefer Sutherland and not David Hayter?
I mean,
because you already know how I feel. I love Kiefer Sutherland, so. It is what it is.
I mean, we talked about this before. I just have a problem with it. David Hayter has always been Snake. Snake has always had that just over-the-top, obnoxious voice. And in the old games, they gave him tons of lines. You could call him the codec. He talked about a snake. His voice just always like really. It was stupid, but it was ridiculous. He did a snake.
It was so stupid.
Terrible.
So stupid that it was iconic.
But now I think that they kind of made Snake into the whole like Call of Duty meathead. Doesn't really talk, but when he does, it's just something really, like ocelot.
Yeah. Now, I feel as though, getting rid of David Hayter, I thought made sense because I think in this environment where where everything's more photorealistic and the story's more darker, Kiefer Sutherland's voice just makes more sense. He has that rich, deep voice that portrays a man in his 50s. That's just my opinion. He doesn't talk very much at all in this game, but when he does, it has meaning to it.
Yeah, and that's the thing that really kind of gets me about the game is that he doesn't talk as much. Because the old games were just so colorful as far as you would call up Paramedic, Sigint, Zero.
I actually missed the codec conversation.
The codec was great. You'd call them up, and based on what gun you were holding in your hand, Sigint would be like, hey, Snake, that looks like it's a whatever gun.
But blame all the Metal Gear noobs who hate the cutscenes so much that they got rid of the codec moments.
But and back then it was just very iconic to have Snake was Snake because it was David Hayter. But now it just doesn't feel as much like Snake. You know what I mean? It still is, but it's his voice is just too different. He doesn't have that kind of comic relief in his voice that he used to. As far as being such a ridiculous, over-the-top character that he used to be. Now he just kind of, I feel like they're just trying to make him more of the normal protagonist in games.
But, as I said, I think it works, and it doesn't break the game. Kiefer's just fine to me. But how do you feel about the PvP FOB mode?
I actually haven't delved into it too much. After we talked about it last time, I went home and I did like 2 missions or so. It's pretty fun. I think it adds another layer to the game. So instead of just story mode, open world, whatever, you kind of have this whole like base defense thing. Like whenever you're out in the story, you have to say, oh, this soldier has like S+ ranking. I should get him so he could defend my base. And I really like that part of the game. I haven't, like I said, I haven't gotten too deep into it yet, so I'm not sure of all of like the little details about it. But so far, I think it's really cool. It adds a lot of replay value in my opinion.
Now with me, I'm actually really addicted to this mode because I mean, just being able to infiltrate somebody else's mother base and just steal all their stuff, and then see now, I don't think you ever had anybody like while you're infiltrating their base, have them respond and defend it. Now, it's literally the most exhilarating thing in a PvP thing I've ever seen in a while. Like, it's just having somebody basically, it's a needle in the haystack for them to find you.
Right.
And it's exhilarating, man. But we can't really talk about MGO right now. I mean, you'll
be able to.
I'll be able to because I'm playing on console. But verdict, buy it, try it, or fry it.
Oh, buy it. I think. Yeah, I definitely think you should buy it. Even if you're not a fan of the series, this one is totally different. It's worth it. I mean, even if you're not a big fan of the story, like me, FOBs, MGO, that stuff I think is all just going to, it's really going to give everybody their $60 worth, as opposed to, like we talked about, a Call of Duty or a Madden comes out every year.
Well, my opinion, buy it. It's a no-brainer. Even if you're new to the series, it's literally the contender for 2015 Game of the Year. I mean, until Fallout has its say, it's literally the deepest game in a while. There's tons of stuff to unlock. There's tons of story if that's what you're there for, like me. And there's just there's an online mode coming out soon. So
Easter eggs
for days, and Mission 46. That we won't dive into just yet, but yeah, obviously buy it. So Metal Gear Solid 5 is out on Xbox One and PS4, so pick it up.
Also PC.
PC.